Good evening. My name is Steve Johnson with Marion County Fire Rescue, and I just want to spend a few minutes talking to everyone about kids and sleepovers and some of the things that could potentially go wrong at these things, and then also really just kind of how to change the culture in America. So for me, I like to think of growing up, weekend mornings were just really cool, a lot of fun, cartoons and waffles and, looking forward to spending the day with friends. And then now that, I have kids, it's basketball and baseball and gymnastics and trips to the beach and Xbox. The special times just continue. However, on the morning of August 26, 2018, it was not such a special morning that day. Chicago firefighters responded to the report of a structure fire, and when they arrived on scene, they found 10 kids that had perished in that fire from the ages of 3 months old to 16 years old. There were multiple factors that related to the fire, but the single biggest factor is there were no working smoke alarms in the home at all. I can tell you from personal experience that is every firefighter's worst case scenario, is responding to a call with kids involved, especially a fatal fire with children involved. It's hard to even fathom how something like this can happen. 10 kids, these kids were over at a sleepover together. Most of them were related, cousins, whatever, but they were all over this sleepover together. And I don't even know all the details. The report is not even back yet for the details, but one thing is absolutely certain. It was confirmed that there were no working smoke detectors in the home. This has really become a systemic problem in our culture today, and we've got to do something to change that. There's really no reason to not have smoke detectors in the home, and not just having the smoke detectors in the home, but that we've also got to make sure that these smoke detectors have batteries, that they're not just missing altogether, but that they are functional smoke detectors. This has got to be the responsibility of the adults in the home. And it's not just the adults in the home making sure that there's working smoke alarms, but making sure that there's adequate supervision for the kids. And not only that, but adult politicians that are fighting they're lobbying with sprinkler companies or against sprinkler companies to put sprinkler systems in homes. There's so many different things that really just need to change in our culture. Because certainly for me in my world, there's nothing more precious than children. We go out of our way, above and beyond, to make sure that these kids are safe, these little children that we brought into the world, and we do everything we can to try to protect them from the ugly stuff in the world. Sometimes we can, but not always. Sometimes we're forced out of our comfort zone when we have to try to do what we can to protect our kids. Maybe we've got to speak to the neighbor about their brat kid that's causing problems for everybody. Maybe it's speaking to the teacher about the grades, your kids' grades. And maybe it's even speaking to your spouse about what's the best way to raise your kids the right way. A lot of it's uncomfortable, but this is not about you. It's about these precious little things that we brought into this world and doing everything we can to make them safe. I know as my kids started to get older, they started to ask about having a sleepover at a friend's house, and it's really a big deal for everyone involved, not just for the kid, but the nervous parent. Because again, this is the very first time they may have slept away from home without one of their parents being there. So as soon as we're going to start worrying about all the little stuff, like, who are these people? Will she wet the bed? What kind of snacks will they have? We need to make absolutely sure, and I am begging you to worry about whether they have smoke alarms in their home, functioning, actual working smoke detectors. The issue right now is you and your kids, your grandkids, your stepkids, your nieces, your nephews, whatever kids, it doesn't matter. We need to make absolutely sure that we never, ever leave them anywhere, especially at a sleepover, without making 100% sure that smoke alarms work. Ask them to test them for you. Yes, ask the people who own the home to test them for you. In fact, test them yourself. Go in there and push the test button on the smoke detector and check them yourself to make sure that they actually work. And while you're there, come up with an evacuation plan with your kid. Make sure that they understand how to get out of the house in the event that something were to happen, and make sure that they fully understand it. I encourage you to trust no one when it comes to this. I want you to annoy your neighbors. I want you to annoy your family, your friend, whoever's going to be in charge of your kid for that sleepover. Don't think anybody just automatically has smoke alarms. Don't be so sure about that. So there's a couple things about smoke alarms that I want to talk to you guys about. What kind should you buy if you don't have one? There's two different kinds that we look at in the industry. There's the photoelectric smoke detector and the ionization smoke detector. They work a little bit differently. The kind of the details, the ionization detector uses a tiny little bit of radiation to ionize the particles of smoke that pass across the sensor. The easiest way to explain that is this type of smoke detector that can smell the smoke. The other one is the photoelectric smoke detector. That one uses particles of light to be able to identify the actual particles of smoke that pass in front of the beam of light. Experts will say that the photoelectric smoke detector has the fewest nuisance false alarms simply because of the technology involved. However, I've come to find out, and research has shown, that the best situation is to have a combination detector, one that utilizes both types of technology. I brought one here today to kind of show everybody. This is it's called a dual unit. It's a photoelectric and ionization detector. This is about 20 bucks at Home Depot. You can pick this thing up. It has a 10-year battery life, so no need to worry about any longer changing your batteries when you change the clocks. This smoke detector is good for 10 years. So this is certainly the kind that is ideal to have in your home. It will detect any kind of smoke from class A, B, or C fires. But this is a simple unit, but it's very easy to install, and this needs to be in your home, and it needs to be outside of every sleeping area in your home. So I could really go on all day about how passionate I am about this, but I'll kind of just wrap up by, just explain smoke alarms. I mean, these are a priority. They need to be a priority in your home, and not just having them, but making sure that they are working smoke alarms. No different than you make sure your kids have a toothbrush or a special pillow or pajamas. All of that stuff is fine, but it is a priority that you make sure that wherever your kids are going to be sleeping, there are smoke alarms. Personally, I do this for my children every time they ever go to a sleepover at someplace new. And I'll be honest with you, I found batteries dead in smoke detectors. I found a smoke detector that somebody had used the battery for a remote control or something. I've even found a dust cover still left on a smoke detector at a brand new home, which is something that should never happen, because before they received the CO on the home, that smoke detector dust cover was supposed to have been removed. So you asking these people to do this, or you asking them if you can do that, may annoy them. It may annoy your friends, your family, but odds are you probably annoy them anyway. So just continue that tradition and annoy them so that you'll sleep well that night, and your kids will wake up the next morning. So check to make sure they have their PJs, check to make sure they have their special pillow, their toothbrush, their Peppa Pig video, but most importantly, check and make sure that they have working smoke alarms in their home. So a couple of things that I just want to ask you guys, and just for you to think about. I mean, how many times is your kid asked to go to a sleepover at a friend's house, and how well do you know the parents? Have you ever been to their home, or have you just know kind of where it's at? And most importantly, do they have working smoke detectors? I also want you guys to think about, do you have an evacuation plan for your own home? Do your kids know what to do in your own home should something terrible happen and a fire break out in your home? Do they know how to get out? Do they know more than one way to get out of wherever they're at? Do they have a designated meeting place outside? These are really, really important things to be able to think about. So I'll just leave you guys with this, and I just want to ask the audience just 3 different questions really quick. What are the 2 types of smoke detectors that are available? Should be ionization and photoelectric. What are you going to check before you allow your child to sleep over at anyone else's home? You should be checking their smoke detectors and making absolutely sure that they work. And the third is, what will you develop with your child before leaving them at someone's house for a sleepover? It should be an evacuation plan, a way to get out, knowing how to unlock the door, knowing how to open the window, whatever that may be. So again, I just ask you to trust no one, to be annoying, be that guy, be that girl that frustrates possibly somebody else. But I can assure you that they should respect what you're doing. And if they don't, then you should ask yourself if this is really where you want your kid to sleep over for the night. But at the bare minimum, it's going to keep you safe, and it's going to keep your kids safe. Thank you for your time.